What a beautiful Sunday morning, NFL Week 3, guys. I am Kelly in Vegas, filling in for the wonderful Ariel Epstein. You guys know her as the prop queen. She'll be here most Sundays, but the Sunday she's not. You guys are stuck with me. Yesterday was an eventful college football Saturday. Let's see if Sunday lives up to the hype. We're going to bring in VR. We're going to bring in Ralph Michaels. We got John Murray coming in and Bryan Power batting cleanup for us there in the fourth seat. VR, welcome on in. I know we got a quick segment with you this morning because you're off to the steam room.
Oh, yeah. And we got a lot of information, a lot of games to go through. And real quickly, the only question, I keep seeing it everywhere, man. They ask me on social media as well, what are the needs? What is the public on? What does the book need? Guys, the book doesn't need anything. They just need to open their doors. We're laying 11-10, so we're already taking the worst of it. And then on top of it, some are laying -112s, -113s, -115. They're parlaying same game parlays. They're teasing teams, not numbers. Like the needs of the books, you shouldn't be all that concerned about because again, the books do just fine week in, week out, month in, month out. And, fading the public isn't a recipe for success. It just isn't. Real quickly, here's what we have. If you do want to know the public sides, here's the 5 heaviest public sides: Houston, Dallas, Rams, Saints, and Indianapolis. Now, what sticks out a lot are the Rams, the Jets, and Carolina. Those are 3 dogs that are getting bet by the public. That's correct. The Rams, the Jets, and Carolina all have more action than the favorite side, which is rare in the NFL. And when it comes to the Rams side, it's like 7 out of every 10 bets are on the Rams. And even the Jets, it's close to 7 out of 10 and over 6 out of 10 on Carolina. So those big dogs look like they're the public sides today. And again, they're opposite. They like Houston. They like Dallas. They like the Saints. They like Indianapolis. Some of the sharper signs today, Raiders. Raiders, they started betting the Raiders. We talked about that earlier in the week. They took the look ahead. They bet it all the way down to +3.5. That's where I released it to subscribers. They also did bet the Rams. So that's a public and that's a sharp side as well. They got 3.5 on the Rams. They took Houston at +2. But they also bet Jacksonville in the first quarter, first half. They got Denver plus the 3, Saints plus the 7, Chicago plus the 1, San Francisco minus the 1.5 and money line. And then they bet Detroit on Monday night. That was some of the steam that came in, but keep your eyes on Odds Logic, or at the very least, the WagerTalk odds screen, because you're going to see a lot of movement over the next 60 minutes. A lot of the manipulation that happened early when limits are low, you're going to see the real sides come in probably over the next 60 minutes. So pay attention to those late line moves.
Really quickly, guys, if you want to join VR on the Steam Room, you do have to be a client, but we're also opening it up to those WagerTalk insiders, WT.buzz/insider to join $2.99 a month right now. And you get all these fun emojis. You get insider access, specialty videos, and things like that. Plus, it's the Steam Room. VR, one of the things I like to ask you about early in the week on Bet On It when we're together is some of these teaser spots. So as of Wednesday, we had the Bucks, we had the Cards, we had the Broncos, we had the Packers. The Cowboys were available to be teased. And then, of course, I think the whole world is going to tease Seattle today. And I kind of don't blame them. The Bucks are no longer in that Wong. The Cowboys are no longer in that Wong. Let's talk about
why I wait.
Let's talk about why you wait, as well as what you're going to play today.
That's exactly why I wait until as late as possible on Sunday, because I want the line to be as efficient as possible. I need it to be sharp because that is the highest probability that the game lands near the number. And if it lands near the number, our teaser's cash. That's the whole point of having the teaser. As of right now, if the games were going off in 10 minutes, me and my subscribers would only have one teaser in play. We would have Arizona plus 7.5. And then where was that other 1.5? There was one more that I saw.
So we wouldn't tease the Seahawks down, or we wouldn't tease the Packers down?
No, not yet. Not yet. No,
Okay.
no, no. Only because it's 7.5 even money. I'm seeing 7 minus 115. We want it painted across the board. We want to be able to wong it.
Raiders look wongable. Patriots look wongable.
Yeah, at 1.5. See, even the Patriots are 1. It was Arizona. Yeah.
Texans possibly moving to 1.5 in some shops.
And that's the key. You got to be patient and can't force it. If it's not there, it's not there. That's why we've done so well. We've only had, 5 the first week, 4 out of 5 cash. We only had 1 last week, that one cashed. So if it's not available, we're just not going to fire. But hopefully we got time. We got almost 2 hours. We're going to get some 1.5s out there, Cal. We'll get some 1.5s. We'll probably get a 7.5 as well across the board. We'll have some teasers in line.
Absolutely. As VR mentioned, a little less than 2 hours before kickoff. Guys, if you have a question for Ralph or Bryan Power or John Murray, drop it in the chat. But we're going to let VR give himself a little promo, get him out of here because he's got a lot of work to do between now and kickoff.
Yeah, if you head on over to my social media, you'll see updated results. Number 1 in college football in 2025. Number 2 in the NFL regular season 2025. Number 1 football combined. Told you what was happening in 2025. If you're betting this NFL and college football season, you're going to want to know what we're betting each and every week. Plus, you get the steam room with that, which is coming up today. We'll be leading into kickoff, answer all your questions, go through every game, and let's just keep crushing it in college football and NFL. Keep doing damage as we await the MLB playoffs. Wish you guys all the best of luck today. Beat the books.
Yep, that is the plan. That is why we're all here. We want to beat the books. Last question from Alex really quickly. Do I come back on the Bears plus 7.5 a teaser if I've already got the Cowboys and shoot for a big middle? My answer is yes. That is what I plan to do here after the show, if that is still available. VR, do you agree?
Yeah, if he's just playing teasers that are plus EV, then you have to fire him. Like if you're only teasing the sides you like, it's a different story if they fall under those numbers. But if you're teasing just the numbers, then you got to take it. Absolutely. And hope you hit that middle. It's a great middle.
It is a great middle. Let's hope we do hit that. I was lucky enough to hit one with Bills Ravens that first Sunday night. So we're going to try to run that one back at Greek_gambler on all your social media channels, except for TikTok. You got to add the 7 there on the end. VR puts out a lot of great free content here on WagerTalk. So we thank him for that. All right, guys, the stat daddy. Oh, I got my glasses from Bet On It still sitting here because I never wear them, even though they're supposed to be good for your eyeballs. So I better put them on because we got Ralph Michaels in. Hi, Ralph. Good morning. I know that it is busy here for you before kickoff on Sunday mornings, but you put out some really great trends and angles for this week. So I want to kind of dive into that. We're going to take some questions from our audience between now and the next 10-ish minutes before John Murray gets here. So if you guys have a question for Ralph, at CalSportsLV is his social handle. Welcome in, Ralph.
You didn't tell me Ariel wasn't going to be here.
I'm sorry. Listen, we get more viewers when she's on. Shocker, I know. So I don't like to spoil the alert. I got to make you guys hang out with me every once in a while so that she can go celebrate the holidays with her family. Ralph, this week's TNA was loaded with a lot of data. 0-2 teams. Well, we've got 2 0-2 teams that play each other tonight. We've got the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the New York Giants. Something has to give in this one.
Well, let me just go over it. If you guys watch Bet On It, the extended version, I do a TNA, college football, and NFL each week, or go to YouTube TV, WagerTalk YouTube, and you will see those. But I just want to mention a couple things. So many people I talk to say, 0-2 teams back at home, they're desperate, they're going to cover. Well, let me tell you this. In the last 7 years, 0-2 home favorites, 44%. 0-2 home dogs, 48%. On the flip side, if you are 0-2 and you're an away dog, you are 27-14 against the spread. That's Houston, Miami, the Jets, and New Orleans. But what happens if we have 2 0-2 teams like Kansas City and the New York Giants? Well, now we have desperation on both sides of the field. Since 1993, Kelly, there's only been 34 games with 2 0-2 teams like KC and the Giants. The over-under is 23, 10, and 1. 70% to the over, if it's a single digit line. So no double digit favorites, double digit dogs. And does it make sense to me? 100%. You are going to open the playbook. You are going to try some trick plays. You're likely going to go for it on fourth down if the game's close at the end. Add all those up. This 0-2-0-2 over system makes complete sense to me.
All right. If you guys have a question for Ralph, drop it in the chat. Ralph, let's talk about some of these other 0-2 teams today. Are we blindly betting some of these 0-2 teams, or what should we be looking for additional criteria in order to make a wager on them? Hand up, I already bet the Saints. It was my best bet on it. I already bet the Browns. That was my barking dog. This Packers team has Dallas Sunday Night Football on deck. Just got to go in and beat the lowly Browns is all they're looking to get away with. I did tease them as well, but I do think the Browns are live. As a Cleveland guy, is this an 0-2 team you're looking at this week?
Well, there is no more of a false 0-2 team than the Cleveland Browns. We're talking about the number one defense in the NFL here. What did they do? They gave up special teams touchdowns. They gave up defensive touchdowns. The Browns allowed Cincinnati 141 yards and 11 first downs. They go to Baltimore and they allowed 41 points. Well, guess what? They were minus 2 turnovers. They allowed Baltimore 242 yards. Yeah, let me repeat that. Baltimore scored 41 points on 242 yards. I do like Cleveland, but you know what? Green Bay is also the number one defense as far as yards per play. And you look at the offenses they've played. It's not like they've played Carolinas or New Orleans. Cincinnati and Baltimore for Cleveland, Detroit and Washington, awesome offenses for the Packers and the Browns who they faced. In this game with the Browns and the Packers, I actually like the under first half. That is a client release. DraftKings had 21.5. Most places had 20.5. So the Browns are a home team. Remember, that does not fit into the category. Those home dogs are actually a negative bet on. But of the away dogs that are 0-2 teams, clearly my favorite is Houston. But again, even their profile is a little bit tight with the offense the way they've struggled the first 2 weeks.
All right, Ralph, looking for some questions here. Yes, I have the glasses on because Ralph is here, guys. Let's see. Ross is killing it with Ralph and Joe. Yes, you guys can check out the WagerTalk leaderboard anytime you guys want. If you guys also would like to see where, okay, Chandler. Yeah. This is an NFL show. Hey, congratulations. Mario Cristobal does it again. I'm so happy for him. Let's chat in November. Let me get back to my train of thought. The Blitz. I mentioned you guys can see Ralph on the extended version with TNA. He's also got his own playlist over there with all the trends and angles for college football and NFL on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. But every single Thursday, you can catch him and Bryan Power and Ross Benjamin on the Blitz, college football, top 25 games, and of course, some of those under the radar ones. Daryl Bitten wants to know, hey guys, what do you think of Lions Ravens over? Here's a real reality, Ralph. I've been betting a lot of these primetime games under the total. We've seen a lot of them start to cruise under, with the exception of that Ravens-Bills game that went into the 80s. Talk to me about Detroit at Baltimore, if there's a side you like, and then answer the question regarding the total.
I don't like the side, but, I'm actually looking at some notes from my son. He put this out as a free play. The total's 53, so we have a high total. So what have NFL totals done at 50 or higher? They've hit 53% since 2016. So not a wow number, but you don't have to be afraid to play them if you like them. If a total is 50 or higher during the first 4 games of the season, that percentage goes to 59.4%. The teams are number 1 and number 4 on offensive yards per play. And the defenses, Kelly, Baltimore is number 31 in yards per game defense. Detroit is number 22 in defensive yards per play allowed. And teams off a division win by 21 points or more, like Baltimore is, they are 86-47 over under, 65% to the over. I'm not going to get to the window on this over, but if you forced me to give an opinion, there's only one way I could go with these 2 offenses and these 2 defenses.
Yep, I understand, Ralph. Okay, we want to follow back up on these 0-2. Why are 0-2 home dogs not a play on versus 0-2 road dogs. And then I want to parlay that into the Jets at the Bucks for another question here from America Returned.
Well, yeah, they're 48%. Home dogs, 0-2 home dogs are 48%. But again, it is a small sample size. It's only 12 and 13. So I'm not telling you you can't play them. Home favorites like Chicago are actually 44%, so they're much worse. So Cleveland, Carolina, the Giants, and Tennessee all fall into that category. But I don't blindly play them, Kelly. This isn't a strong enough trend, and the sample size is too small, and things can happen to certain teams throughout a season that they can just implode early. So this is not one of those, oh, I'm blindly going to bet it, like some of the systems we've talked about. But clearly, if it's a 66% system on that away dog, it would take a heck of a lot for me to play the other side. That part it does allow me to do. Knock off those teams if I did like the other side.
All right, let's talk about that Jets 0-2 Jets team there at the Bucks. Tyrod Taylor, in his starting time as a quarterback, wherever he may have played, is pretty sizable as an underdog, almost 68%, Ralph. I saw a trend earlier on X. I apologize, I do not have the exact numbers, but it was something like 21, 12, and 7 against the spread. Are we looking towards teams that are 0-2 like the Jets here on the road at the Bucks?
Well, that's the call you have to make. But one thing I'll say is this. Tyrod Taylor was with this team last year, so it's an entirely different thing to be a quarterback filling in. Now, Aaron Glenn's brought a new system, but Taylor still is familiar with the receivers and with the O-line. And since Justin Fields has only completed 19 of 33 passes with a 7.4 YPA and only one touchdown pass, it really isn't that much of a downgrade because of the way the offense has struggled. So I look at the situation and am I ready to fade Tampa Bay? The week 1 win against Atlanta will hit the doink, or it could have been tied. They go to Houston, again, a close game, 360 to 266 yard edge. The defense has played well. So I am not on the Jets because I do like what the Tampa Bay defense has done. They're only allowing 77 yards per game and 3.3 yards per carry. And the Jets did rush for 182 against Pittsburgh and 100 against Buffalo. So we know the Jets are going to be run heavy, but the Tampa Bay Bucks have proven to be a strong D-line and front seven here. So it's a pass for me in this game.
All right, look at all you guys joining, new members and or WagerTalk insiders this morning. As I mentioned, $2.99 to join, wt.buzz/insiders. I think we had almost 70 of you guys, so you guys get a little look behind the WagerTalk, realm, if you will. You guys get specialty videos as well as the Steam Room. We're going to have some more stuff coming up for you guys who join here shortly. All right, let's talk about one more game you like, Ralph, before we get you out of here. John Murray should be here any minute to give us a look behind that counter at the Westgate. Ralph, give me a bet for today that you think our audience needs to be looking at. Maybe a under-the-radar team. We've heard a lot about Fade the Public. We've got a lot of teams that I think are getting a lot of hype early on. I'm curious to see if there's a team that's nobody's talked about this week.
Well, again, let me preface that this I'm giving you now is nothing that I bet. But I did bet the first half Cleveland Green Bay under, either the 21.5 or 20.5. So that is an actual client release. Another game that I was looking at is San Francisco. I was on them last week. And yes, we have Mac Jones in for Brock Purdy. But last week in my write-up, when I had San Francisco at the Saints, I said this Mac Jones situation is going to be much like Baker Mayfield. He was a starting quarterback. He was in a horrible system. He gets out of the system. He has a quarterback guru in Shanahan. You have McCaffrey there. I think this line is way too cheap. Remember, San Francisco lost both games last year at Arizona. A legitimate double revenge, and now they're basically in a win situation. I do like San Francisco to cash today against the Arizona Cardinals.
All right, San Fran. Ralph, that makes me nervous because I did not wait until kickoff. Shocker, while you were talking, I was putting in some teaser bets. Listen, that's really why I'm here, guys. I'm just working behind the scenes, keeping you guys informed. Ralph Michaels at Cal Sports LV. Again, Thursdays with Bryan Power and Ross Benjamin on the Blitz. You can catch all of his TNA on the mega show of Bet On It, as well as its own standalone on the YouTube channel. Ralph does a ton of free stuff on his page, wt.buzz/RM. If you guys are into charts, if you guys are into old school Excel sheets like I am, he's got it all ready for you guys. So make sure you guys go give him a follow. We're going to bring in John Murray now, and then we're going to back clean up with Bryan Power. John Murray, good morning. Happy Sunday.
You consider making teaser bets on your phone working behind the scenes?
Listen, first of all, it wasn't on my phone. It was on my desktop. Second of all,
working behind the scenes. Okay.
Listen, I'm selfishly doing the show, of course.
You're selfishly doing the show? What does that mean?
I'm kindly filling in for Ariel for the Jewish holiday. And then I'm like selflessly and selfishly doing the show so that I can write down all the stuff from John Murray. Last week, John Murray went 7-1 for you guys keeping track at home and saved my Sunday because I went 1-4 in the Westgate Super Contest. Just an abomination of plays. I do have one in common with the top 5 picks, by the way, if you guys saw my tweet. Right now, 1-9 first 2 weeks. Top 5 selections at the Westgate Super Contest. Woof.
What is the one you have in common for week 3?
The Saints.
Don't tease us. The Saints. Okay, yeah, I think the Saints is one we saw some sharp money on. Hold on, I'm pulling something up for you here. I'm working behind the scenes. I would say the two that have really gotten sharp money in the last like 48 hours would be Indianapolis. Indianapolis is all the way out to a 5-point favorite in that game. We had respected money -3 and yesterday -4. And then I heard you on the end of the last segment talking about the 49ers game. We had a pretty respected player take Arizona here yesterday. They bet it at +2.5 even money at San Francisco, betting on the Cardinals to get to 3-0. That does look like a good teaser spot too. Low total, 1.5-point spread right now. I'd say those are the main two. Early in the week, we did see money on New Orleans +7.5, same side Kelly likes. And stop me if you've heard this before. They're betting the Jets again. They always bet the Jets. They took the Jets +6.5. Jets
we just can't quit them. They're like the lovable losers. Why can't we not quit the Jets?
That was such like the pseudo wise guy play last Sunday. If you remember, they were at home. Everybody was. They were at home against Buffalo. We took so many bets on the Jets from like the quasi sharp crowd. We actually needed Buffalo. I mean, of course, it would have been better for us in the long run if Buffalo had lost because of the money line parlays. But when just the game, just looking at the one game on its own, we were better off with Buffalo because we had so many big bets on the Jets.
Let's talk about those money line parlays. I know they have been really rough. Last week, you gave Ariel 7 plays, and I think 4 of them were sides. And you were like, hey, listen, we just need one of these sides to win outright to crush all the money line parlays. I think you guys got 3 out of the 4 outright. And all 4 covered, if I remember correctly. What are those sides for today?
Well, the side, like a team that we would need to lose, you mean? I mean,
yeah, like probably the survivor, right? Yeah. Like think from a survivor perspective and or moneyline teaser perspective. Right. Who would you love to see lose?
Number 1 is Green Bay. Number 1 is definitely Green Bay. We'd love to see Cleveland win the game. We'd like to see him cover, but we'd love to see him win. That would knock out the moneyline parlays, the teasers for people like Kelly. And there are survivor pools that didn't use Green Bay. I'm sure they'd be happy about it. I'd say that's number 1. The other big one in the morning I touched on already. It's a lot of money on Indianapolis. If Tennessee could win that game outright, that would be very good for us. And then the afternoon, I'd have to say we'd like to see New Orleans win. New Orleans is, and also look at it like we're talking here at 8:30 in the morning in Las Vegas. That game starts at 1:05. There will be a lot more moneyline parlay and teaser action over the course of the next, 4.5, 5 hours on Seattle in that game. It's just right now, everyone's focused on the 10 a.m. games. So right now, what we care about the most is Cleveland and Tennessee.
So 2 weeks ago, as I was walking out of my dad's house, we were listening to you and Ariel on the show, and you said, hey, our biggest need is this total, this Steelers Jets game over. Yeah. And my dad goes, oh, I love the under in that game. So I just, bet the over. What are some of these totals?
You faded your dad?
No. I followed you, and it just
What's
so
the matter
happened to
with
be
you,
that
man?
he loved the under, which
Oh my
just
God.
kind of showed. Don't worry, Chandler. My dad's been all over the Hurricanes this year. He texts me more than you do. He was very impressed last night. I don't know why, but he was.
It's not that much. Yeah, total wise, I don't have a ton. They did play under in the Houston game, Houston against Jacksonville. There was a little bit of sharp money on Houston in that game as well. But nothing like what we're talking about from week 1, where we did really need that total. We'll probably be rooting for the late game to go under. And I think that, so we didn't talk about that game. That will probably end up being the biggest money line need of the day. But like
Ravens
right now,
to lose to the Lions.
no, I'm sorry, Giants Sunday night. I was looking
I'm
at
sorry.
the
Yes.
situation. Right now it's Green Bay, Cleveland, but that game is hours and hours away. And depending on how the games go this morning and this afternoon, depending on how many parlays and teasers are live to Kansas City tonight, the Giants could very well end up being our biggest need of the day, of the week.
Whoa.
And we do need the game to go under as well.
Yeah, I like those unders. And Kansas City unders have been really good as of late as well. John Murray, you are such a trooper. I know you're very busy on Sunday, so thank you for hanging out with me. I know I'm not Ariel, but I tried my best. At Vegas Murray on social media. You guys can catch him every single Thursday on the Kelly and Murray Show with me, of course, where I basically torture him for almost an hour. It's wonderful. I highly recommend watching it here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. John Murray, anything you'd like to promote at the Westgate? I know you guys are doing minus 108 on sides during game day. And then are we still doing minus 105 Sunday night football?
Yeah, minus 108 on all the NFL games, minus 105 Sunday night, Monday night, Thursday night as well. We're also doing we're doing food and beverage specials for Mondays and Thursday nights. Beers are $1, hot dogs are $2, VIP booths are $200, VIP pods are $100 for Mondays and Thursdays. And we do have a good Monday night game this week. We've got a really good Monday night game. Detroit, Baltimore should be a good one tomorrow.
As a former bottle service waitress, I would like to interject there. So the pod, you rent a pod, and that is just a food and beverage minimum. You're not paying for the table itself, right? So each person, essentially, if you get a pod, there's 6 people. You should have done the promo.
You should have done the promo instead of me. You're right. No, you're right. It's a real distinction too. You're not paying $200 to sit there. You've got to spend $200 on food and beverage. I talked to a guy maybe last Thursday or last Monday. He was just sitting in one of the pods. We told him what it costs. And he's like, okay, that's fine. And he just spent $100, him and a buddy. It's really very manageable if you're 2 or 3 people.
And you like to drink $8 margaritas like me. Like just.
Well, hey, you know what? For you now, they're doing $2.99 espresso martinis at the Westgate.
Oh no, that's not for me. That's not for me. That's for CT Bets. That's something he would do. I would never drink an espresso martini at the Westgate. I'm already too amped up as it is. I do not need any more caffeine. I would like to get to come there and watch games again in the future. Espresso martinis would basically be my nail in the coffin. They would be my demise. I would be in too much trouble. Security
thanks for that.
Me,
we appreciate it.
Wear a mask there, and I would wear the face shield, and they were like, "That's not allowed."
We appreciate that endorsement. That our espresso martini deal would be your demise. Thank you for that. We're probably gonna have that quote on the marquee. That's very.
I like that. I think it's a great idea. Yeah. Right along with the John Murray bobbleheads that me and Ray ordered this morning. All right, guys. Enough preview of the Kelly and Murray Show. We're gonna let John Murray get back to work. There is over 3,500 of you guys watching us live here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel, Rumble, Kick, X, Instagram, all of the above. All right, we're going to bring in Bryan Power. He's going to answer the rest of your questions. Normally, we go right up until kickoff on Saturday, but we've got until 1 p.m. Eastern time. So we're just going to let it go. As long as you guys are asking questions, we're answering them. Good morning, Bryan Power.
Good morning, Kelly Stewart. How are you today?
I'm doing very well, ready to run through a wall on this Sunday morning. I did have a shot of espresso because I have to do In Zone Live with the Prez after this.
I'll be on there.
Yeah, great. I can't wait. So in case you didn't know, somehow I got logged into the producer background of the video settings now. So just be prepared for me to, kick Prez off the screen or hit the mute button or whatever I so feel like.
I have a question. You just ripped the espresso martinis to John Murray, your good friend.
Because they're really bad for me.
Oh.
Do you want to see a monster in like, think about me on a margarita, think about me on regular coffee, then put them together essentially.
I've been spoken to you in Slack before. I know what that could be like. So yes.
I mean, the first time we met in person was down at the D, and
yes,
Bryan Power was cheering against my bet. And anyway,
no, I was not. I think you ripped me anyway for something else. I would never cheer against your bet though, but I was ripped for something, and I'm sure I probably deserved it.
Whatever. All right, check out all these new insiders joining. I'm so excited. WT.buzz/insider $2.99 to join. You guys get all sorts of extra benefits. We're going to do lots of private events for you, starting with the Steam Room coming up here in about 45 minutes with VR. So you guys check that out. Bryan Power, host of The Blitz, you, Ralph Michaels, Ross Benjamin. I'm so glad we decided on this trio. It has been doing so well. You guys have been crushing college football. So if you guys are looking for free college football picks, right over there on the WagerTalk YouTube channel, also on any Spotify, Apple, anywhere you like to listen to your podcasts, you can catch them there. All right, let's answer Adam's question. Any big favorites we think might lose outright today? Still haven't had anyone lose -3.5. Maybe it's Atlanta. Maybe it's Indy. Hopefully it's Green Bay because I love the Browns. And hopefully for Survivor, it's Seattle. Bryan Power, this has been an interesting trend because it has been circulating social media. 12-0 since week 11, 9-0 since week 13 last year. This year, none of these favorites are losing. I was going to ask John Murray because they've been getting crushed on the money line parlays, but I didn't want to ruin his morning, so I'm going to ask you.
Okay. If I had to pick one, I would say the favorite that could lose outright would be the Buccaneers. Because they have been living quite the charmed life. I know everyone in the comments section of my videos loves to clap back at me about Baker Mayfield, how tough he is, the grit, the heart, whatever. I look at Baker Mayfield, I see a guy, Kelly, that has the highest number of turnover-worthy throws in the NFL this year. And opposing defensive backs of Tampa Bay this year have proven why they're not wide receivers, because they can't catch the balls that Baker Mayfield is throwing directly to them. This is a guy who's had 6 dropped interceptions this year. I mean, and a lot of these are just hitting the guys right in the hands. I can't believe they're not picking him off. So there's 2 underdogs, and I see a lot of people in the chat bringing them up, the Jets and the Titans. I think if you like the Jets or the Titans this week, Kelly, I would sprinkle a little bit on the money line because perhaps I'm overthinking this. Okay. I've overthought things before in the past, but I think if you're betting on either of those teams, you're betting the favorite. You're betting them because you think the favorite is going to regress. They're due to drop one. You don't believe in the favorite. Certainly Tampa Bay could just as easily be 0-2 as they are 2-0. I mean, they've stolen both games out of the fire late with game-winning drives. And with Indianapolis, I think there's a sense, is this team for real? I mean, let's go back 365 days ago, Kelly. At this time, the New Orleans Saints last year were 2-0. Spoiler alert for those who may have missed the end of the 2024 NFL season. They did not do so well the rest of the way. So we shall see with the Colts. I kind of think maybe by default they could be the AFC South winner there. But I think if there's going to be a big upset in the NFL today, it would be my first pick would be the Jets, even with Tyrod, or the Titans would be number 2.
Ooh, all right. Well, in my household, I took the Bills because I'm a giant you-know-what on Thursday night. And I said, listen, I had Denver. I had the Cowboys. Like, I just needed easy. It wasn't easy, but it was much easier than the other 2 weeks. I will take it. Never once was I really afraid the Bills were going to lose that game. Yep. Yes, up a touchdown. Miami was driving to a turnover, whatever. I was terrified of this week. My boyfriend elected to use both bucks, not diversify, use both bucks. I told him, I said, hey, I'm doing End Zone Live with the Prez. Yep. You're going to want to go watch with your Survivor partner at his house because I'm cheering for chaos today. Like, I want week 3, just obliteration bloodbath. I want all the favorites to lose.
And here's the thing with, okay, that's good. There are a lot of ugly dogs. I tweeted right before we went on that, if anyone wants to check out the Power 5 before, I have some ugly dogs. I go over there as well. I talked about both the Titans and the Jets on there. And what's interesting, Kelly, is I think there's a lot of volatility in both of those situations where, again, maybe I'm overthinking things, guys. I think you look at the Titans, you look at the Jets this week, it's either they win outright or they get blown out. I don't think the number, I was talking to someone this morning and we both kind of came to the conclusion, I don't know if the number matters in either of those situations. It's either the dog comes in, pulls the outright upset, or the dog gets blown out of the water because I can't see Tampa Bay winning another close game. Yeah,
well, that's just what they've been doing, right? Like, so I've been living in Tampa for the last 4 years now. I've been to a ton of Bucks games, and it seems like you're right. Like, either the dog convincingly wins outright. The Denver Broncos game comes to mind from last year. I think there were 7.5-point underdogs right around this time, week 2, week 3, week 4, goes into Tampa and wins outright, convincingly, wire to wire. Or I've been to those Tampa games where it's just last minute touchdown drive. Baker is, I'm not going to call him elite, but Baker has clutch moments, right? And I want to give him credit for that. But most importantly, I like this Bucs defense. I think if they can get Tyrod Taylor to turn the ball over a couple times, they should be in the driver's seat in this game. But it is just one of those very fishy lines, right? Like, as somebody who loves to tease the NFL, why isn't it 7.5? Why is it 6.5?
Yeah, I don't know. And the other thing too, and I heard John Murray point this out in the segment before, everyone was betting the Jets last week. I bet the Jets last week. That was not a good bet.
Me too.
The only thing that was good about that bet, Kelly, it's one of those ones you could give up 10 minutes in because you knew it was dead in the water.
That's fine.
I've always said that I would rather lose a bet. If I'm going to lose a bet, I would just rather know it's dead in the water 10 minutes in than have my heart broken at the end, like I did yesterday in the noon Eastern window with Miami, Ohio. I don't even want to discuss what happened.
Are you kidding me? Did you not watch the end of the Nevada game? Right here on my handy dandy list, Art and I were talking about the Nevada game. I thought, okay, I'll bet the Nevada game. I got +10. It closed 8.5. And guess what? It was going to be fine. They kicked the field goal, onside kick. And I'm like, the app is broken again. Because the app had previously told me earlier that West Virginia had scored a touchdown when they hadn't. So I'm frantically, I'm like, oh, the app's broken. It's 1:00 in the morning. The app's broken. Nope. Scoop and score with 8 seconds left. Listen, I'm tired of having my guts ripped out. I am absolutely with you. I'd rather just lose.
Of course, we would all rather just win, I think is the moral of this story,
Correct.
which I think we need to do. I saw somebody asking about the Bears in the chat. I'm with a lot of people. I think you said this earlier. I'll tease the Bears. I gave that out as I gave Bears and the Broncos actually as a 4 p.m. teaser. I'm going to go with there. You can do that. I think there's only a couple spots where you can do the Bears as a teaser right now. So shop around, but I don't know. I think those will be 2 close games. I know the Bears looked so bad last week, and I know their secondary is not in good shape, but I don't think the Cowboys should be favored on the road.
Yeah, it's a tough game. It was just one of those fishy lines. When it first came out, I saw a lot of people asking about it, and I thought, you know what? This is just not something for me. I did tease Dallas early. I am going to tease Chicago late. I think this is a coin flip game. Look, we'll see. I know Marco likes to talk about divisional sandwiches and trap games and things like that. I will say Dallas has Green Bay on deck.
They'll be interested in that, which is another reason to I think a lot of people like Cleveland, right? Green Bay's off the 2 wins over playoff teams from last year, Detroit and Washington. Now they play a Cleveland team. My wife is downtown right now tailgating, and I'm sure she knows. I'm sure she knows. Yes, I'm a very nice guy, but I'm sure she knows, and I will let everyone else know. Home underdogs of 7 or more the first 9 weeks of this regular season. 18-1-2 against the spread the last 3 seasons. I
need that again.
That's per Bet Labs, by the way. I don't want to.
Home underdogs.
Home underdogs 7 or more. First 9 weeks of the regular season. The last 3 years are 18-1-2 against the spread. Cleveland Browns first one to qualify this year.
Okay, noted. Wrote it down. I'm going to steal that. Yeah, I do like the Browns. Titan CT wants to know what your thoughts are on this Raiders team. Here's kind of what starts to happen, BP, is like we all see, you're right. So Sunday even if you have red zone, you miss half of the games, right? It's impossible to fully watch all of these games outside of just looking at the box score. When there are these standalone Monday night games, like we saw the Chargers Raiders last week, we all saw the Raiders. Right? Geno Smith, I think it was 3 interceptions. And then I was like, I'm going to bed. This is dumb. I have no reason to stay up. I have no action on this game. I do like to look at teams that looked really awful the previous week, but I think the Raiders might have looked too awful.
And here's the other issue, Kelly. This is a horrific scheduling spot for the Raiders. You talk about how bad they looked on Monday. Okay, well, it's a short week because they played on Monday. And what did the Commanders do? I know that, they're turning to a backup quarterback, but they haven't played since Thursday. I believe that there's only been a couple instances of this where you have and the Raiders are going east. This is a 1 p.m. start. This is one of the worst scheduling spots of the year that the Raiders are in. Short week, 1 p.m. start time for the West Coast team. I think there's only been 2 instances of this where a West Coast team's playing at 1 p.m. on a short week facing a team with 10 days rest like the Commanders. And there's only been like the 2 instances the last decade. Both of the previous instances did not cover and did not come close to covering. I can maybe look that up before I sign off.
Yeah, definitely look that up, BP, while we're kind of talking about this. That is interesting because I think the old adage of West Coast teams traveling east is kind of subsided, right?
It has a little bit. Yeah.
Right? As we've seen it over the years, like in the 70s, in the 80s, in the 90s, it was a thing. Now teams sometimes stay on the East Coast the whole time. Like I was looking to see if the Rams ended up staying or not, right? Things like that. So this is an interesting rest versus, kind of a short travel week, if you will, for the Raiders. So very good point there.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, these teams are not traveling on horse and buggy by any stretch of the imagination. But here it is. Teams with 6 days rest versus 10 days rest. Last 25 years, just 5-11 against the spread. But then if you take the team that's going west, playing at 1 p.m., they're 0-2 ATS. The last 25 years, they've lost. They failed to cover by 19 and 7 points. So this is only the 3rd time that we've had a team like the Raiders in this spot. Short week, 1 p.m., West Coast, against a team that's played either off a bye or on Thursday.
All right, Bryan Power, we've got about 8 minutes left to answer any questions in the chat. Let me know what you got going over at WagerTalk.com today. I know I mentioned you guys have the Blitz out from yesterday. So make sure next Thursday you guys catch them live, 1 p.m. Eastern here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. You're also doing the Power 5, but now that baseball season's wrapping up, what days can people expect the Power 5?
Oh, let's make this announcement formally. Okay, good. You're such a person that can allow that to be made formally. Yeah, so guys, this next upcoming week is going to be the final week of the Power 5 as a daily show because, as Kelly eloquently pointed out, baseball's winding down in those first couple weeks of October. Guess what, guys? There's not 5 games to bet on during the week. There's usually just maybe a standalone football game, a couple playoff games. So what the Power 5 is going to do for the rest of football season, you're going to get a midweek version of the Power 5 focusing on the key line moves in football. And then there's a weekend edition where you'll get 5 plays that just missed my card. So the Power 5 is not going away. It's just going to go to 2 times a week. That is starting next week. This week, we're still doing every day except tomorrow because there's not enough games. Short Major League Baseball slate. So Power 5 will still be going hard. The Blitz is still going hard. I'll be on Enzo Live with you and Prez here coming up. And, of course, what everyone needs to know is I have 2 best bets for Sunday in the NFL currently posted at my page, wt.buzz/BP. Only went 2-2 overall on Saturday. Kelly, I was very disappointed. Again, it should have been 3-1, but Miami, Ohio, I thought they were the right side. They gagged it late to UNLV. I think Dan Mullen's UNLV is a complete fraud, one of the worst 4-0 teams in recent memory. However, while it was just 2-2 yesterday, we are already a winner on Sunday, Kelly, and that, of course, can only mean one thing, your favorite. Soccer was a winner. I will not dive deep into the Aston Villa-Sunderland match.
Good God, please don't.
For fear that you will beat me, but I said both teams to score. And they did. In fact, Aston Villa hadn't scored all year. What are they going to go the whole year without scoring a goal? Give me a break.
Oh, boy. All right. Paul wants to know our opinions on Houston-Jacksonville. I was on Jacksonville plus 3.5 last week. You mentioned bad beats. That was a rough one for me.
Same old Jaguars.
Yeah, and here's this Houston 0-2 team going on the road. Fits that system. Ralph Michaels talked about fits what you were speaking about. Kind of break down this game. If you have an opinion here, let us know.
So I want to tease the Texans.
I did.
Okay, and because, again, I kind of have this mental quandary on a lot of games this week, and this is one of them. Before the year, I was high on this Jaguars team. I thought they were going to win the AFC South. And then I see what they do last week, and I'm like, it's the same old Jaguars. That's a game you need to win. If you're going to make that leap to a playoff team, you have to beat Cincinnati when Joe Burrow's lost to injury. And Jake Browning comes in and throws multiple interceptions. You have to win the game. You were winning. What are you doing? Houston is desperate at 0-2, but God, Kelly, they're a tough watch. This offensive line in Houston stinks. It has to be the worst offensive line in the entire National Football League. So my take is, I guess, just tease the Texans. They are in a desperate spot. You know, the 0-2 teams, obviously, I'm sure all of our fine viewers have been hearing about 0-2 teams all week, not just on this show, but, you know, all the other great shows we do on Wager Talk. I think if it's 0-2 straight up versus 1-1, the percent, that's the real sweet spot. And that's what we have here with the Texans being 0-2, Jaguars being 1-1. I think it's like 40-11 against the spread or something like that. So I would tease the Texans is kind of my only play here, but I don't feel great about it. Did not make my card because, again, I thought the Jaguars were going to be better than Houston. I don't think Houston's winning this game.
All right, here's a game from Joe Madden. She wants to talk about the Broncos versus Chargers. I guess that would be my team versus her team, even though I've kind of written this team off since the last Super Bowl. So for the last decade, I haven't really cared. I did, however, put the Broncos helmet up there that is signed because it's better than the K-State one I shoved way up on top because I got the K-State football field behind me, and they're kind of on my shit list. That being said, let's talk about—
bring it up.
I did early in the week. I broke VR's rule. I put the Broncos in a couple of teasers early, and now they're +3, and they fall out of that teaser realm.
Yeah.
This is a divisional matchup that, again, Chargers looked really good on Monday night against the Raiders. Broncos lose in heartbreak. Thank God, because I had the Colts +1. Thank God the Broncos lost that game. I was so happy that a bad call went my way. I will take it and run. But teams off good losses, if you will. Was that a good loss? Would you call that a weird loss, a loss?
It was actually deserved because if you looked at the box score, the Colts outgained the Broncos in that game. I mean, I thought Daniel Jones, again, I think we're all waiting to see if he turns into a pumpkin. That was probably the best game Daniel Jones ever played last week. And it was against the Denver defense, Kelly, that, as you know, was number 1 in EPA per play last season. I thought the Broncos defense would take a little step back this year, simply because you can't do any better than number 1, can you guys? But you alluded to throwing the Broncos in a teaser earlier in the week. I have done the same in that game. Very interesting spot here, Kelly, with the Chargers opening the year with 3 straight division games. And they're on a short week too, guys. Remember, there's 4 teams on a short week after the Monday Night Football doubleheader. In case you were wondering, teams to open the season with 3 straight division games, like the Chargers are here today, they have gone just 2-5 straight up, 1-6 ATS in week 3 the last 20 years, failing to cover the spread by 10 points per game. And Bo Nix, I'm assuming you know this as well, Kelly, in a 6-point tease in his career in the regular season, if you just teased every Bo Nix line, you'd be 18-1. The Broncos don't get blown out.
All right.
So I think they've only lost 2 games by double digits since Nix became the starter, and one was the playoffs against the Bills.
Yeah, that would make sense. All right, I will take it, I guess, as a pseudo Broncos fan. Shout out to Ace. He's a new member, just joined WagerTalk Insider. We're going to have some great stuff coming up for you guys over the next couple of weeks. Bryan Power's got some great stuff for us, though. So leave us with a banger. Give us a winner, Bryan Power, after yesterday's kind of SMU, Nevada, those wonky, ugly losses that you had. Yes, K-State even lost yesterday on a bye. Thank you, Mac. Yeah, it was a tough day for your girl. All right, Bryan Power, give me a W. What do I need to be betting here on this beautiful Sunday morning?
Well, I'll call my shot. Let's go something that'll either make me look really smart or really dumb. What do you say? That's why we come out of these programs, right? Let's go Jets outright over the Buccaneers. I'm sick of Baker Mayfield. I'm sick of Tampa Bay. I'm sick of them stealing games late. New York Jets to beat Tampa Bay outright. Look, we were all betting them last week against Buffalo. I don't care how many late games Tampa Bay wins. Buffalo's a better team than Tampa Bay.
Wow, almost 5,000 people on whatever platform they're watching on just heard you say that. So I'm going to pray for you.
Hey, let me tell you something. I've already lived through it. I know how this works. I lived through, calling the Indiana Pacers the worst team in NBA Finals history, and everyone in the state of Indiana that had ever rooted for the Pacers found me, and it's a very nasty thing.
And you got very famous on TikTok for about 2 weeks, and then you got to redeem yourself because
although it was close. I wouldn't say they got there. It was a little close. I remember walking upstairs, telling my wife, I said, walking upstairs and telling my wife, I said, Tyrese Halliburton just tore his ACL. She goes, what does that mean? I said, it means we say nothing and we just sit back and we say nothing. And we got out of it. But yeah, let's see. Jets. Let's call our shot here. Jets outright over the Buccaneers. This Buccaneers team is so fraudulent. So down 3 wide receivers, possibly 3 offensive linemen.
3 offensive linemen, 2 defensive players.
Baker's not 100% either. Baker's not 100% either. Come on, Tyrod Taylor.
All right, so I'm thinking we're gonna do a little 3-team money line parlay. My brain is just kind of like, just for fun. Again, I got all these teasers.
I knew with all these ugly dogs that this conversation, Kelly, was going to lead somewhere irresponsibly, but I like it.
All right, so Jets, Saints, Browns. Are we doing it?
What is the pay? What does that do? Okay.
As a matter of fact, I've got this little app on my phone that I can put it in here at the Hard Rock, and we're going to see what that pays. Hold on, needs my face. Let's look, Bryan Power. Let's look. We're going to put this little guy together just for a beautiful plus 275, plus 350, and plus 300. $100 bet pays 66 to 1. Done. Bang. Just put that in. $100. 66 to 1. All right, Bryan Power. Let's get rich today.
Let's do it. Well, and guess what? And the good news is, if you want to stick with us here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel, Endzone Live, you could see Kelly and I yell about these games in the 1 p.m. Eastern time hour.
Oh, man. Maybe I will have espresso martini.
There we go.
All right. Shout out to all of you guys that hung out with us here on Sunday morning. Thank you to VR. You guys can check him out on the Steam Room right after this. Thank you to Ralph Michaels for all of his trends and angles. Thank you to John Murray from the Westgate Superbook for his look behind the counter. And thank you to Bryan Power, one of my favorite guys at WagerTalk, for making this Sunday morning so incredibly entertaining that now we have a $100 parlay on the 3 ugliest dogs on the board, not named the Titans. Good luck to all of you guys. I hope you have a wonderful Sunday. We'll see you guys back here in just a couple of hours. Yeah, I'll probably pop on in about 2 hours. Endzone Live with Prez and Andy. We're going to sweat out some of your survivor picks because mine made it through, as well as that 66-1 to parlay at least the first 2 legs. Happy Sunday, guys, and we'll see you next week.